Our next game, we've got the Detroit Lions going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good one. I went back and forth on this one actually. I was like, oh man, this Bucks team, like, they look pretty good. But then obviously this Lions team, they've been looking really good. For me, the difference maker, X factor here, it was like Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's like Dan Campbell says he feels pretty good. He's gonna be playing this game. Like if St. Brown isn't there, if he's not playing, I'm gonna pick the Bucks. Honestly, like he's that much of a difference maker. I feel like for the Lions, especially against this Buck defense. The Bucks defense, like the passing defense, has been really top notch. And with this Lions defense, Lions offense, they're gonna be like, all right, let's gonna focus. We're gonna focus on stopping David Montgomery from hurting us and Gibbs as well. Make Jared Goff kill us because they don't. What Sam Laporta, rookie tight end, he's definitely had some good games for sure, but I'm sure that they'd feel pretty good about containing him rather than trying to put 8 men in the box and stopping David Montgomery a bunch of times. So and yeah, Jameson Williams, he's had a couple. I think he's had like one game or one or two games, and he didn't really do too much there. So I think he's still going to try to develop a rhythm. And the rest of the wide receiver core, like they're formidable, but they're definitely not on the same level of St. Brown. And with the secondary that the Bucks have, I think you need to have that Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, but yeah, if he's gonna be playing this game, definitely all in favor of the Lions taking this. It's 3.5. I think it'll be close, maybe just a field goal or 1 point, something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna be taking the Lions here.
Yeah, I'm going Lions too. After watching them last week, I think the things that stood out to me was, down Amon-Ra St. Brown. Monty is a different running back as a Lion than he was as a Bear. I mean, we always I think got good numbers out of Monty. I think he was always a respectable member of our offense, but you can just totally tell when he's behind, one of the best offensive lines in the game, he is an absolute animal. And he was just pounding the rock. He's pretty fearless when it comes to just running right up the middle. I mean, he breaks tons of tackles. He's just a power back, man. It's like crazy to see because, I always kind of considered him like middle of the road, like expendable type of player and stuff. And no, I really truly think if we really had an offensive line in Chicago, we knew how to, design runs for him the right way. We would have been doing anything we could to, kind of hold on to him. He kind of reminds me of like a Matt Forte type. And I think the Lions are just banking on it right now and enjoying, what he's able to do week to week. And I don't know if Jahmyr Gibbs is going to play in this one, but I don't know if it'll truly matter, especially getting Amon-Ra back. But I will say Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds really had some great catches throughout this, past week's game. Obviously, they're playing Carolina, so that's one thing. But they definitely looked like NFL starters on the field, able to create separation, catch some pretty difficult passes, make some pretty big plays for him throughout the game. There was one play from last week that just blew my mind, but they basically, I believe it was, can't remember. I mean, it might have been Raymond running kind of an end around type play behind Goff. Goff handed it off. He flipped it to the next guy in line. And then Goff was still standing around. That second guy flipped it back to Goff. So they almost had like a, double end around flea flicker that went to Goff. Goff looked down the field, and there was one wide receiver streaking toward the end zone, and the defense kind of like definitely like went back to kind of guard the last resort receiver and left Sam Laporta like wide open at the 15-yard line of Carolina's, and wide open pass touchdown. If you haven't seen that play on replay, just go check it out, take a look. But I think the thing that I took away from it is they have so many different weapons on the field at one time that you have to account for at this point, where it's like even if you're down St. Brown, you're out Gibbs like they were last week, they still had enough to put 42 points up on the board. Sam Laporta looks like the steal of the draft at tight end. He's been just getting his numbers, but he also just looks like a complete professional out there. And man, it's just a fun team. Like they are stifling on defense. Hutchinson's like, obviously had a pick that almost led to a pick six if Chark didn't, take his knees out. And even guys like Jerry Jacobs at corner just play, really tough, making big tackles. Will Harris has been a disruptor at safety. Like, I just like watching this team play football. And, Tampa, I think, has gotten off to a pretty good start as a team. I think there's just a true ceiling there with Baker Mayfield under center. And I think that's going to matter. And, I think he's gotten off to, again, a really good start for him. It makes he can be a candidate to be a starter in the NFL. I think he's like going on his campaign this year, whether it's with Tampa or another team. But I think they hit a little bit of a wall here against Detroit, and I would consider taking the over on whatever the spread is for Detroit.
I mean, hey, yeah, that's totally fair. Lions are a great team, and yeah, it sounds like they're definitely on their way to win this division here. Like a lot of people predicted, and there's a reason why. It's just they're coming up with a lot of moxie, a lot of great attitude. Dan Campbell has been a tremendous coach and everything for them. So yeah, they're definitely a fun team to watch. Now I do recall that Sam Laporta catch. Like I was like, wow, this is the play of the week for sure for me at least. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was even better live, man. I gotta say, I was completely tricked around by what they were doing, and by the time Goff had the ball, we all kind of saw Laporta and the streaking wide receiver going down center. But man, it was awesome. But it's just kind of like this new fun Lions team that's just taking risks and being, confident. It's kind of like just the swagger that they're playing with. It's probably extremely refreshing for those in Detroit. But man, that place got loud. It's just fun to see their fans kind of into the game, and
Yeah.
to kind of watch a winner for the first time in a long time. It's just got to feel really damn good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm sure like all the Lions fans are like, wait, what is this? Is this good? This is good, right? This is good. This is good. And no, it's fun to actually have them like have that confidence. I feel like to be fans of like a winning team. So no, it's great. And the coaching, I forget who the offensive coordinator was, right? But yeah, he came from last season, and I think he might have been offered some positions or some head coaching opportunities, or was like maybe questioned to interview, but he like turned them down because he believed in what the Lions are doing. And well, first off, I think that's great, that's amazing. And then it just goes to show like the culture I think Dan Campbell is building out there is like, well, people actually want to stay like in Detroit, like that's amazing. So and yeah, like year two into the system with Jared Goff, and with David Montgomery too, like they're definitely running it on all cylinders right now. So
No doubt. The name is Ben Johnson,
oh yeah.
their OC. So let's keep an eye on him going into this offseason. And I'm sure he's going to get some looks for sure with what he's done with obviously Goff and some of these, let's say not as established names at, the outside with wide receivers, and kind of what he's done with Jamal Williams last year and kind of with Monty this year. It's been pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, if you want to talk Lions, and I don't know if you want to discuss this now, or Detroit, but what did you eat in Detroit? That's what I'm curious about now.
Man, well, I first owe you an apology because the downtown area was so bottled up and backed up. I mean, this place had to be sold out for this game because number one, it was hard to get tickets, but in the same sense, like getting out of Detroit was a nightmare. So we weren't able to go to Slows. That was our plan after the game. But I know, man, I'm sorry. First and foremost, sorry, because we all wanted to go check that out, and we read the menu and were, salivating going into this trip. But we ended up going to Shields Pizza for Detroit style pizza on the way in. Really, really good. There's something about that style of pizza when you're really hungry. It's just like doughy and, fluffy and just really good ingredients. But so the pizza, definitely, filled us up. It was really good. Tried a burger from the Basement Burger Bar. Got pretty high marks on Eater in Detroit, and got a pretzel roll burger with a bunch of junk on it. I think it was called the Junk Burger actually, and it was really good. It actually knocked me out on Friday night. I think I fell asleep like 10 minutes after eating, so that was great. And then I'm trying to think what else. We went to the DraftKings Sport and Social Bar up in Troy, which was, probably 20 minutes north of the city. But definitely wanted to check it out. It was on one of the best bars in Detroit list, but very, very cool setup, like tons of big screens. They had darts, they had beer pong set up in the back. I think you were able to place bets there. Wasn't able to, go out and do that, but had like a big tower of kind of like a sampler tower. It was like $50, but it had like wings, it had nachos on it, it had try and think what else. I know I'm missing something else, risotto balls, other stuff, but
Oh,
no,
nice.
definitely ate very, very well. In Detroit, could barely breathe by the time the trip was over with, so had to start getting veggies and fruit in me to start off this week. But man, had a great time, but definitely ate my brains out.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, yeah, and next time next time you're watching a Lions game there or whatever, like, yeah, you definitely gotta check out Slows. Maybe before, I don't know if that's possible, but yeah, definitely check out Slows next time.
Yeah, definitely reprioritize how we do things when we get downtown. I will say we stayed a little bit outside of downtown in Southfield, so it's
Mm.
about 15 minutes away from the city, north of Dearborn. But um, man, and this is off the cuff, but we went to the Henry Ford Museum yesterday, and that was all awesome. Like it was just a an absolute awesome experience. I didn't have very high expectations going into it, but just the amount of automobiles, vehicles that they have stored in that museum and some of the historical significance of some of them, like they had the Rosa Parks bus from Montgomery, Alabama in there. They had JFK's presidential car where he was actually assassinated. That was in the museum as well preserved. They had the first ever Model T Ford, like a lot of really cool stuff. So if you're just in Detroit, looking to get into some of the automotive culture that they've obviously built a history on. Like, definitely go check that out. It's worth the $30, worth the 2.5 hours that we were there. So, highly recommend it.
Yeah, and no, that doesn't surprise me about the Rosa Parks thing because it was Mike Ilitch, the founder of Domino's. Like I think he's
Mm-hmm.
like a major institution over there. He passed away like several years ago, but yeah, he was like a major institution over there in Detroit. I think yeah, he was also the owner of both the Red Wings and then also the Tigers. And I believe the story is that he paid for Rosa Parks' like rent or mortgage or whatever for like 10 years, 10 plus years or something like that. So really like, he really admired kind of what Rosa Parks did over there with the bus. And I'm sure he had some influence of like, hey, can we bring this over to Detroit here, for our museum? Maybe we'll give you some pizzas. I don't know what the exchange was, but yeah, had a lot of appreciation for Rosa Parks and the civil rights movement. Yeah.
Yeah, totally crazy. Like some of the vehicles they had in there, and we were just like discussing like what were the bids on these cars? Because if you think about Dallas wanting the JFK car or Montgomery wanting to preserve that history and their city or something, like these are like invaluable vehicles, like parts of history. So the amount of money in the room in Detroit was probably pretty sky high, but a very cool representation of history. They do just an awesome job. They talk about trains, they talk about cars, they talk about all sorts of just other vehicles and other modes of transportation. Kind of weave a lot of civil rights culture into transportation. Like they talk about civil rights movement in the like the framework of transportation and stuff. So pretty cool. Go check that out. But yeah. Anyways, go Lions, go Detroit, and let's see them get a W here on the road in Tampa.
Sound